All right. This movie has polarized people with not having revenge plots and the absolute ending of this. However, this is one of the few movies I've watched twice, one by myself and one with my mom, and I could appreciate what they did. Chase Liaki here at the Blue Futon reviewing A House of Dynamite. What's about pretty simple premise. A nuclear weapon from either North Korea, China, or Russia is about to hit Chicago, and what is the U.S. government going to do with the citizens and things like that. So this might be it's like, oh man, why couldn't it hit New York City with, the new mayor, or LA, because sometimes California just need to go poo-poo. But I mean, California is fine. I mean, Chicago, Pritzker and Brandon Johnson with a 60% rating. Okay, I'm being very, very negative right now. I don't want any nuclear bombs going off right now. But you know what I'm getting at, where you're just like, if it goes off in one of that Chicago, how would they blame Trump? How would they blame Trump? Okay, I'm just being a dumb bitch right now, okay? I could admit that. But this movie worked for me. I understand how people don't sometimes like the same story told 3 times, but to me, it isn't told 3 times. It is told in 3 different layers. The lower level people, the middle level people at the Pentagon, and the higher level people, aka POTUS. And having that really does work. And why it does that is because sometimes you get the mumble jumble of like the mishmashiness at the same time, which is fine, but you're not getting the snappy dialogue, the locations of understanding where you're at STRATCOM, Global Strike, and things like that. I get off it. Global Strike, there's Maelstrom, there's Barksdale, there's F.E. Warren, and of course, Omaha, Nebraska is where STRATCOM is at, and that is off at Air Force Base. And of course, you got the Pentagon with all the politicalness there, as well as, FEMA. And you get these different characters. And as a person who worked in skiffs and chaos like that, I was like, ooh, I'm going to pay attention to this movie for what they do with cell phones and what they do with things like that. And it does a pretty damn good job. So I think Kathryn Bigelow and the writer did a fine job with that. So going into 3 parts, the first one is mostly in Alaska with the Army base trying to intercept the nuke from going from point A to point B. And of course it fails, and they got to figure out what they did wrong. And I did see some critics / reviewers be like, this movie just proves that the United States government doesn't know what to do when a nuclear weapon hits. Bitch, what? Y'all acting like these are just random ass people when they are contractors. Okay, well, they probably won't be contractors working the skiff. Military members or GS or NH employees, right? They are normal people as well, where they're going to probably be like, some of them are going to be like, fuck this noise. I'm getting the fuck out of here and contacting my family members, even though you're not supposed to do that. So I like that aspect of trying to get the tension of like, this isn't as easy. And there are a lot of training about this, but let's be honest, when you're in South Korea in either Busan or, is Busan the one near the North Korean border? I think it starts at Kusan. I don't know. One of those, is it Busan? No, Busan, is it? I don't know. I'm an idiot. But one of them does a lot of training because of nuclear weapons with South Korea. And there's a lot of times you're like, oh my God, another gas mask drill. And you're not really taking yourself seriously. Because let's be honest, when you put on the hazmat suits, when you had to like put on the boots and everything, and you have to make sure there's no tears, I truly think if there's a nuclear war, this is a placebo effect because all these uniforms are old as fuck from the Gulf War. So I don't know if there's going to work anymore. I just don't know, right? I just don't know. I think it's a placebo effect, right? Especially with some of the gas masks. Like, there's still going to be leakage right here. And if you don't get the boots right and shit like that with the gloves right here. So anyway, you get what I'm getting at, right? And what I'm trying to say is you do this exercise over and over again, but you're like, oh, it's never going to happen. But when it does happen, that's where your brain kind of fucking fries. Like, oh my God, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Because it's not like cops, like speeding tickets. It's like a nuclear weapon, right? So the first story is about what they're going to do, right? And I really did enjoy that. And that's what a lot of people are like, oh, the first 40 minutes is fucking great. I agree with that. Second story goes more Pentagon and FEMA and trying to understand that route of like talking to diplomats and trying to figure out what to do. Okay, yeah, the first story does have a little bit of Pentagon stuff with Rachel Ferguson, but it's mostly the lower level stuff, like in the, I'm going to say it's not a KAOK, because like the KAOK is like, Qatar and like things like that. This is more of like, a skiff, you want to put it that way, where a skiff is like all secret shit, right? Where you have a sipper token and things like that. All right, so second one is more when you go to the 4-star generals, the 2-star admirals, and things like that, where it's at different match comms or co-comms or things like that, where it could be, it's not Transcom want to be part of it, but you might get ACC, you might get USAFE, you might get PACAF, but you are going to get Global Strike, you are going to get, off it is ACC, but there is a Global Strike, and you get shit like that, Global Strike and StratCom. There's a lot of comms out there. That's what I'm trying to get, right? And getting all these generals on the screen. And I'll say that's one negative thing about this movie, is there's no way the teams, Microsoft Teams, is going to be that perfect. And there is no way everyone's going to have like a double muted mic, because at Transcom, you got to double mute your shit, and it's fucking annoying. And you have little things like that. So that's why I say the comms wouldn't be that perfect. I could promise you that. But I did like this one as well, of like how we go from DEFCON 4 to 2 to 1, and how when you're talking to POTUS and the SecDef and shit like that, and also like people that are talking to Russia, that there are different things you got to do. Is it worth attacking even though you don't know who attacked? Because there's also talk about, is it an inside job because our satellites didn't detect this? And let's be honest, who has nuclear weapons? Israel? Nah, they wouldn't do it. If Israel launched shit, they would have launched it at Iran. Iran, we fucked their shit up. They don't have anything anymore. Sorry, they don't. Pakistan, I just don't think they would do it at all. We have France, I think, has nuclear weapons, and the UK as well. But the French, they ain't doing shit as well. They just ain't. They can't even control the immigration population of their country, with all the Northern Africans selling, Chinese Eiffel Towers. So I'm not worried about that. So to me, it's North Korea. It is Russia. It is China. To me, it would not be Russia, because they're so worried about Ukraine at this point. Yes, you could say they're losing the war, but I don't think they're desperate enough to do shit like that, and they would honestly go more for Crimea and things like that, or that area, right? North Korea, there is a aspect to that where it's like they are struggling, famine, food, drought. There's like, fuck this, flip the chessboard, we're good to go. So I understand that. Then we have China, and I think it's China, right? With what they're doing with Taiwan, what they're saying with Japan right now, what they're, trying to do with Venezuela right now. This is some Cold War shit with China. So in my opinion, it's the fucking Chinese. It is. I'm sorry. Just with what is happening in the real world today, that's what I'm going for, and that is what that one is. Third act is the POTUS one, where, he's talking to his wife in Kenya in some scenes, and it's like, it sounds a little bit awkward why she's in Kenya. Anyway, it just doesn't seem like any hoot magoo. So that's Idris Elba's character, and this is all about him trying to figure out that, and the SecDef character. And there's something that happens with the SecDef where I kind of gasp, and when my mom watched it, she burst out laughing. And I was just like, not the response I was thinking. But, okay, this is about what the POTUS wants to do, and especially with the briefcase, the guy in the Navy, right? That is it is a job where I want to say that job gets rotated between 6 officers, 1 from each service: Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, Army, Marines. No, it's 5. Because it's not Space Force. Space Force want to give someone up. So you get what I'm getting at, right? Where I think it's a rotation of who has the briefcase of the codes, the nuclear shit, what's going to occur. And this is all about what is the president's decision in attacking, or is he going to attack? The other thing about the story that's unreasonable is Angel Reese being in D.C. She's being in Chicago. They probably should have gotten a D.C. player, or, things like that. But you could say that act is the weakest. I mean, to me, I enjoyed the living shit of this movie. I really did. Some people don't like the ending, the ambiguity of it, of like, what do we do? I think it's realistic. I truly think this is one of the movies where, what do we do? Are we willing to attack with our submarines, with our B-2s, with our, Shitsess and Maelstrom, F.E. Warren, or Barksdale, right? Our Global Strike, the nuke folks. Are they going to launch? Is the B-2s going to drop shit? Are submarines going to drop shit? Or not drop shit because they're already down below. Are they going to put shit in the air? Or are we going to wait to actually see who done it? So the House of Dynamite, yes, there are some flaws here and there, but I really enjoyed this one. I thought Kathryn Bigelow did a fantastic job with how the look of the movie, the feel of the movie, and it just felt fucking real. So a House of Dynamite will receive a 4.5 out of 5 with Futons, which equals at 90%. So let's see the critics and user scores gave this one. Critics a 76% with 240. Audience score is 78 with over 100 critic consensus, pointing out a nightmare scenario with nerve-wracking plausibility. Kathryn Bigelow's masterfully constructed House of Dynamite is an urgent thriller that is as distressing as riveting. I do agree. 76, 78, 90. Chase out here at the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm Blue Futontopia. Yeah, Blue Futonians. Thank you for watching. A great down. Watch take tomorrow, week from a year from now. Freaking one of you. Peace and love, peace and love. And what is your House of Dynamite?